Picture this. You've finally done it. You escaped the 9 to 5, sold the car, and you've moved to Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
You're waking up in a great service department in Bangkok, looking out at the skyline. You're eating street food it costs less than a coffee back home.
The dream.
And the best part, for decades, was this legend that if you lived off foreign income freelance work, investments, a pension, you were basically living in a tax-free paradise.
Right. It was the classic geo arbitrage play. Amazing quality of life,
Yeah.
super low cost of living, and, zero tax. It was this unwritten rule that built entire expat communities.
Exactly. It was like a cheat code for life.
Yeah.
But you can probably hear the record scratch coming because if you've been anywhere near an expat forum lately, the vibe has definitely shifted from no worries to outright panic.
Oh, panic is putting it mildly. As of 2024, the Thai Revenue Department didn't just tweak the rules. They fundamentally changed the whole philosophy of who pays to live there.
And we're not just talking about backpackers. This is about people building a real long-term life, which actually is why we're digging into this today. For over 25 years, moveandstay.com has been the go-to for these kinds of global professionals.
Right, connecting them with service departments and offices all across Asia Pacific.
And normally the hardest part of using a service like Move and Stay is just, picking the right neighborhood.
But now, once you find that perfect extended stay apartment, you realize you've got a new roommate you didn't exactly invite, the Thai tax man.
So that's our mission for this deep dive. We're going into the 2024 Revenue Code amendments. We need to get past the rumors and answer the big questions. Is your retirement fund safe? What's this U-turn people are whispering about?
And most importantly, how do you legally navigate this without having to pack your bags and go home?
Okay, so where do we start? I guess with the basics. Who does this even apply to?
We have to start with tax residency. Because a lot of listeners are probably thinking, look, I'm Canadian, I'm German, I pay taxes back home. This can't be about me.
I'm guessing it's not that simple.
It never is with international tax.
Yeah.
In Thailand, the rule is actually pretty straightforward. If you are physically present in Thailand for 180 days or more in a calendar year, you're a tax resident.
Wait, just 180 days? It doesn't matter what visa I'm on, an elite visa, a retirement visa?
Doesn't matter. The moment you cross that 180-day threshold, boom, you trigger tax residency in their eyes.
Wow. Okay, so that net catches a lot of people. So let's look at what we lost. Why was Thailand this haven for so long?
It was perfectly legal, which is the crazy part. It was all about how the law was written and, more importantly, how it was interpreted.
Okay.
Thailand has a territorial tax system. This is very different from the U.S., for example, which has citizenship-based tax. The U.S. taxes you on your worldwide income, no matter where you live.
Right.
Thailand generally only cares about money made inside Thailand. But there was this one little clause about foreign income.
The famous calendar year loophole.
Precisely. For decades, the interpretation was, you only pay tax if you bring money in during the same tax year you earned it.
So let's say I earned $100,000 from freelance work in 2022, and I just let it sit in my U.S. bank account until January 1st, 2023.
Then when you brought it in, Thailand saw it as savings, not income. It was tax-free.
Just by waiting for the calendar to flip over, that's incredible.
It was the cornerstone of financial planning for thousands of retirees and digital nomads. You just lived off last year's money.
I can see why people built their lives around that. It felt so stable.
Until January 1, 2024. And that's when we meet Instruction Poor, about 1612566.
Sounds like a droid from Star Wars.
Tuckles. Might as well be. Departmental instruction. And that's a really key point. The actual law didn't change.
What do you mean?
The Thai parliament didn't vote on a new bill. The Revenue Department just issued a memo. A memo saying, hey, remember that rule? We're reading it differently now.
You can do that. You can change the entire economic reality for thousands of people with just a memo.
That's what happened. The new interpretation is, if you're a tax resident and you bring foreign income into Thailand, it's taxable. Period. It doesn't matter if you earned it yesterday or 5 years ago.
The time gap is gone. The trick is dead.
The loophole was closed, basically overnight. And you can imagine the shockwaves. The biggest fear was about it being retroactive.
Right. Let's get into that. I saw people online terrified that their life savings from 10 years ago would suddenly get taxed if they transferred it to, say, buy a condo.
And that was a legitimate fear based on the initial wording. But thankfully, after seeing the absolute chaos, the government issued a clarification.
Okay, so walk us through it. Is my nest egg from 2020 safe?
For the most part, yes. Income earned before January 1st, 2024 is still considered tax-free if you remit it now. They aren't going back in time to tax old earnings.
Okay, that is a huge sigh of relief for a lot of people.
It is.
But
But, and you knew there was a but coming,
there's always a catch.
the burden of proof is 100% on you. You can't just send $50,000 and say, trust me, I earned this back in 2015.
You need receipts.
You need an airtight audit trail, and this is where people get into trouble. Imagine your bank account is a pool of clean water. That's your pre-2024 savings.
Okay, a nice infinity pool, hopefully.
Let's hope. But now, every month in 2024, you pour in a bucket of dirty water. That's your new taxable income.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you take a bucket out to send to Thailand. Is the water in that bucket clean or dirty?
You can't tell. It's all mixed up.
Exactly. Once you commingle funds, it's a nightmare. The tax authorities will likely assume it's all taxable just to be safe.
So the practical advice here is crucial. If you have old savings, you need to segregate them, like right now.
Immediately. Open a new separate account for all your 2024 and onward income. Do not let them touch.
Okay, now what about that new dirty water, the income that is taxable? I've heard talk of a U-turn. Did the government get cold feet?
It certainly looks like it. There's been evidence of capital flight people moving money or deciding not to move to Thailand at all. So there's a proposal. And I have to stress that word, proposal.
It's not law yet.
Not at all. The proposal is for a 2-year exemption window, basically a grace period. It suggests that income earned from 2024 onwards might have a specific window where you can bring it in tax-free.
So like an amnesty, a kind of damage control.
That's a good way to put it. They want to stop the leak, but they don't want to sink the whole ship. But again, do not bet your financial future on this. Plan for the tax and be pleasantly surprised if the amnesty happens.
Okay, let's get into the nuts and bolts. Let's do a quick round of taxed or not taxed.
Let's do it.
Scenario 1, the retiree. I'm 65, American, living in Chiang Mai off my Social Security checks. Am I in trouble?
This is the best news of the day. Generally, you are safe. Under the U.S. Thai Tax Treaty, government pensions and Social Security are almost always exempt from Thai tax.
That is massive. That clears up so much anxiety right there.
It does. But a warning. That's for government pensions. If you're living off a private 401k distribution or an annuity, that's a different story. That is often taxable.
Okay, good distinction. Scenario 2, the remote worker. I'm coding for a company in Berlin. They pay me in euros into my German bank account. I transfer what I need each month.
Taxed. That's classic personal income. You are performing work, you are earning money, and you are bringing it in. That is exactly what they're trying to capture.
Scenario 3, the investor. I sold some stocks I've held for years. I realized a big capital gain in 2024 and brought the cash to Thailand.
Taxed. A capital gain is income. If you realize that gain while you're a Thai tax resident and remit the money, they want their share.
It really feels like the Wild West days are over.
They are. Thailand is professionalizing. They're joining the Common Reporting Standard, which means banks are going to be automatically sharing data across borders.
Which brings me to my next question, the ostrich strategy. My friend, let's call him Steve, says, I'll just keep quiet. I'll use my ATM card. How will they ever know?
Ah, the Steve strategy. It was a common one. But in 2024, Steve is taking a huge risk.
Why now?
Well, because of that data sharing, for one. But also, the penalties they are not a slap on the wrist.
How bad are we talking?
First, the filing threshold is really low. If you remit more than 120,000 Thai baht, about $3,500 US in a year, you have to file a tax return.
Wait, everyone hints that. That's just rent and food for a couple of months.
Exactly. Even if you owe zero tax, you're required to file. And if you don't, and you get caught, the penalty is a fine of up to 200% of the tax you owed.
200%, so you pay triple.
Essentially. Plus, a surcharge of 1.5% interest per month can spiral out of control very fast. And for intentional evasion, there's potential jail time.
Okay, Steve, it is not worth it. So what's the solution? You mentioned tax treaties earlier.
DTAs. Yes, the double taxation agreement.
Yeah.
This is your best friend. But it's a friend that a lot of people misunderstand.
How?
People think it means I pay tax in my home country, so I'm totally exempt in Thailand. That is false. It usually works as a foreign tax credit.
Okay, break that down for me.
Think of it like a discount coupon. Let's say you owe Thailand $12,000 in tax on some income, but you can prove you already paid $10,000 in tax on that same income back in the UK.
Okay.
You hand Thailand your 10,000 pound coupon. You subtract that from the Thai bill, so you only owe the difference.
So I just pay $2,000 to Thailand to top it up.
Correct. You pay the higher of the two rates, but you don't pay both. But, and this is the part people miss, you still have to file all the paperwork to prove it. You have to show them the coupon.
It sounds like the days of DIY expat finances are probably over.
For most people, yes. You need a professional. And not just any local accountant. You need a cross-border tax advisor who understands both Thai law and your home country's system.
Right, because your guy in Ohio has probably never heard of Instruction Pour .161.
Exactly. It's an investment, but it costs a lot less than a 200% penalty.
It really does feel like Thailand is shifting from a sort of playground for expats to a more serious, structured place to live.
That's a great way to put it. And if you want to enjoy that amazing lifestyle, you have to professionalize your own setup too. Get the right visa, get a tax ID, and have a stable base of operations.
Which brings it back to something like moveandstay.com. If you're going to navigate all this paperwork, you want to do it from a stable, comfortable service department, not bouncing between cafes with bad Wi-Fi.
Absolutely. When the rules are shifting under your feet, you want the ground you're standing on to be rock solid.
So before we wrap up, what's the big picture takeaway here? What does this all mean for the soul of the expat?
You know, what's really fascinating to me isn't just the tax code, it's the idea of regulatory risk.
What do you mean by that?
For years, expats in Thailand thought risk was, a scooter accident or a political protest. But thousands of people built their entire lives on an unwritten rule, on a lack of enforcement, and an unwritten rule.
Yeah.
Well, it isn't worth the paper it's not written on.
Touche.
The Thai government is now proposing a grace period because they're reacting to economic pressure. They're tweaking rules on the fly. So the final question for you to think about is this. If an unwritten rule can vanish overnight, how secure is the written law of tomorrow? It's the end of the global nomad honeymoon and the beginning of the global citizen reality.
Wow. One requires a backpack, the other requires a spreadsheet.
Exactly. Get both. You can still go to the beach. Just bring your calculator with you.
Will do. Thanks so much for breaking all this down.
My pleasure.
And thank you for listening. Keep your accounts separate, check those treaties, and if you are looking for that stable home base, check out moveandstay.com. We'll see you in the next deep dive.